Good to be with you from Las Vegas tonight as we go live from America. I'm Tony DeCopel. The breaking news right now. Under pressure with the ceasefire set to expire this week, the next round of U.S.-Iran peace talks now in jeopardy. New video shows U.S. Marines boarding an Iranian cargo ship after it allegedly violated the blockade. Iran tightening its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, sending oil prices surging. Also developing tonight, a deadly shooting at a popular tourist attraction. The details just coming in. And close call, a near mid-air collision between two Southwest Airlines jets. What went wrong in air traffic control? Passengers stuck in an Amtrak train in Florida since Sunday afternoon, with supplies now running out. What happened?
They're offering nothing but silence.
A major U.S. airport goes to the dogs. What 100 puppies were doing there. And the good stuff, goodbye reality, hello Las Vegas.
Live from America, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel, reporting tonight from Las Vegas.
Good evening. More from Vegas in a moment, but first we go to Washington and then the Middle East for the latest on the war with Iran. If you are struggling to follow what's happening, you are not alone. On Friday, President Trump was saying Iran had agreed to everything, including giving up its nuclear program forever. But by today, he had accused Iran of violating the ceasefire and warned that if a deal isn't reached, then lots of bombs start going off. And so here we are, about 48 hours from the deadline and seemingly as close to renewed fighting as we are to peace. Senior White House correspondent Ed O'Keefe has been trying to make sense of it along with the rest of us. Ed, good evening. What do you know?
Tony, good to see you. As week 8 of the war with Iran begins, there's still no clear end in sight, with the president and Iranian leaders trading threats and attacks all day over social media ahead of scheduled face-to-face talks. Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to fly as soon as tonight to Pakistan for round 2 of talks with Iranian negotiators, who are also expected to attend. Most urgently on the agenda, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, which remains under a U.S. naval blockade, and assurances Iran will never build a nuclear weapon. President Trump continues signaling support for diplomacy.
We have very good conversations going on. It's working out very well.
But he also continues making threats.
They're going to have no bridges. They're going to have no power plants.
Today, he warned it's highly unlikely he'll extend the ceasefire with Iran if a deal isn't reached by a Wednesday night deadline. But Iran's president warned his country will not bow to coercion. The impasse leaves congressional Democrats like Washington State's Adam Smith furious.
Trump doesn't know how to get out of this war that he started, and the costs keep going up. I'm also concerned a little bit that he keeps saying things that aren't true. Keeps telling us that the war is over and Iran has agreed to all of our demands, and we all know that's not true.
Here at home, the war is still causing pain at the pump.
Astronomical gas prices. It's insane right now.
The average cost of a gallon of regular is down 8 cents from a week ago, but it's still up more than $1 since the war began in late February. Energy Secretary Chris Wright says prices may not drop below $3 a gallon for several more months.
That could happen later this year. That might not happen till next year.
In an interview, the president disputed Wright's remarks, saying, "I think he's wrong on that. Totally wrong." The president is especially sensitive to the price of gas because it's a big voter concern ahead of November's midterm elections and a big reason why the president faces high disapproval for his handling of the war, Tony.
Ed, while we have you, some breaking news out of the Trump cabinet tonight. The labor secretary has resigned. What do you know on that front?
Yeah, that's right. Lori Chavez de Reamer was reportedly facing an internal investigation into allegations of widespread wrongdoing, and that appears to have led to today's resignation. The probe, according to the New York Times, focused on the misuse of government personnel, the use of department resources for personal trips, and an alleged affair between the secretary and a member of her security team. She is the 3rd member of the Trump cabinet to step down this year. Tony?
Ed O'Keefe on top of it all from the White House. Ed, thank you very much. We're going to turn now to that new video showing U.S. Marines enforcing a naval blockade near the Strait of Hormuz, disabling and then boarding an Iranian cargo ship that was sailing toward an Iranian port. Senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata takes us through it tonight from Tel Aviv.
U.S. Central Command said the U.S. destroyer had repeatedly ordered the Iranian tanker Tosca to turn back in a standoff that lasted 6 hours.
Motor vessel Tosca, vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
Then, shots fired. After dark, U.S. Marines launched a helicopter assault, dropping down onto the deck of the stricken ship. Officials tell CBS News that Tosca is now in U.S. custody. It's the first vessel to be captured since U.S. forces imposed their own blockade south of the Strait of Hormuz. A mission carried out by the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit aboard the USS Tripoli amphibious ship. The Iranian military said it was, quote, ready for a decisive confrontation with the invading American forces and vowed revenge. This on the eve of peace talks, as U.S. forces remain on war footing. CBS News has learned the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, already on a record-breaking deployment, is back in the Red Sea, while the USS Abraham Lincoln continues to operate in the Arabian Sea. And a third aircraft carrier, George H.W. Bush, making its way to the region, where it will join 50,000 U.S. forces already deployed, with thousands more on the way. U.S. officials we spoke to tonight said that Marine team that boarded that ship, well, they're currently searching around 5,000 shipping containers. It's unclear what that ship was carrying, but it was on the way to Iran, and it was on the U.S. watch list. Tony?
Charlie D'Agata for us from Tel Aviv. Charlie, thank you very much. The breaking news now from Mexico. A deadly shooting at a major tourist site outside Mexico City, the ancient pyramids there. CBS Weekend News anchor Jerika Duncan joins us with late developments. Jerika?
Yeah, good evening, Tony. This shooting happened at the pyramids about 30 miles north of Mexico City. Take a look at this video that's been circulating online. You can actually hear the gunshots as tourists are seen dropping down near the Pyramid of the Moon. And if you look closely, a man can be seen pacing and brandishing a gun. Now, according to Mexico's security cabinet, a female Canadian tourist was killed before the shooter took his own life. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum saying today that this was deeply disturbing and called for a full investigation into what happened. Tony?
Jerika Duncan for us in New York tonight. Jerika, thank you very much. Now to central Pennsylvania, where an explosion and fire killed 7 people inside a house. The victim, a woman, and her 6 children, ages 3 to 11, all members of that area's Amish community. Investigators are looking into the cause, possibly a propane leak. And now to a close call in the sky near Nashville over the weekend. The pilots of 2 Southwest airline jets scrambling to avoid a mid-air collision. Senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve explains what went wrong.
Gusty winds near the Nashville airport Saturday prompted the pilots of Southwest Flight 507 from Myrtle Beach to abort their landing and go around. Air traffic control directed the plane to turn to the right, putting it on a potential collision course with another Southwest 737.
507, turn right heading 110.
Right turn heading 110, Southwest 507.
At the same time, Southwest Flight 1152 to Knoxville was taking off from a parallel runway, heading directly towards Flight 507. Preliminary flight data appear to show Flight 1152 essentially flew right over Flight 507 with only around 500 feet of altitude between them. Both planes' TCAS, traffic collision avoidance systems, ordered the pilots to take evasive maneuvers.
Right, altitude Southwest 1152 out of the RA. 4000 Southwest 507, and we responded to the RA.
It certainly is one of the last lines of defense to keep airplanes from coming together.
In an airline flight simulator, we saw TCAS in action last summer.
I see that I've got traffic encroaching on me 600 feet above.
What happens if you're not a safe distance away?
So my aircraft would give me a command. If my aircraft was told to descend, that aircraft would be told to climb, and that would increase the separation.
Both flights landed safely. Southwest praised the actions of its pilots, saying safety is the airline's top priority. The FAA acknowledged the controller instructions put one plane in the other plane's flight path. The controller did attempt to correct the situation. The FAA is investigating. Tony?
Chris, thank you very much. Staying with aviation, a small plane crashed today in the San Fernando Valley north of Los Angeles. Emergency responders say it apparently clipped some power lines before flipping over in the parking lot of an auto parts store. People nearby lifted the plane so first responders could get the pilot out and get him to the hospital. Now to Florida, where a wildfire has brought train traffic to a standstill, stranding more than 200 people aboard an Amtrak train for nearly 24 hours now. CBS News spoke with some of those passengers. Here's CBS News correspondent Christian Benavides.
This raging fire in Putnam County, Florida, has halted multiple trains in their tracks. Hundreds of Amtrak passengers, like Meg Pace, have been stuck nearly 24 hours.
It was incredibly dark.
She and her husband boarded this DeLand, Florida-bound train in Savannah yesterday. She took these photos of a huge plume of gray smoke just outside the train's window.
That black smoke, it was certainly disarming.
John Reardon's train was going to New York City, but he's now headed back to Miami, where he started more than 30 hours ago.
Headed back to Miami at long last.
He says Amtrak has not been forthcoming with information.
They're offering nothing but silence and what I perceive as contempt for their passengers.
Multiple crews are now battling multiple fires in 2 counties that have merged. More than 3,000 acres have burnt, and it is only 5% contained.
It is not safe for those trains to go through that area with all this erratic fire behavior on both sides of the tracks.
And we just got word that that Amtrak train that was stuck is now unstuck. It's on its way back to Miami. Amtrak says that it is doing everything it can to keep passengers safe and comfortable. And Tony, fire officials are still working to put out the blaze.
Christian Benavides, thank you very much. A major milestone tonight for Americans who paid some of President Trump's tariffs over the past year. After the Supreme Court declared them unconstitutional, businesses can now claim refunds starting today. But what does that mean for consumers? Here's senior business and tech correspondent Jolene Kent.
How frustrating has it been so far? I think quite frustrating. Our team who's focused on this has spent hours waiting on hold, getting kicked out of queues.
Molly Leonetti is the president of Claire V, a popular accessories retailer based in Los Angeles that's attempting to apply for tariff refunds today.
How much money are you going to be applying for reimbursement? So in phase 1, it's about $1.5 million. It's a really, really extensive list.
We first visited Claire V last year when President Trump's tariffs were in full swing. Since then, the Supreme Court struck down tariffs imposed by the president under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. And today, businesses can begin to apply to get a refund. Any business that paid tariffs since April 2nd, 2025, or had tariffs processed within 80 days of submission is eligible. But Claire V, along with multiple other businesses, tell CBS News they're unable to log into the new tariff refund portal run by Customs and Border Patrol and facing multiple error messages. When we asked about the problems, a CBP spokesperson said the application process is designed to efficiently process refunds.
The original purpose of the tariffs, according to President Trump, was to foster manufacturing here in the United States. Has that happened in your view? It's actually had the opposite effect because our domestically produced goods became more expensive given the import tariffs on the leather and the components.
These refunds are for businesses only. Individuals cannot apply, and it's unlikely that consumers will get any money back. However, FedEx and UPS have said they will pay customers back who paid tariffs directly once they receive those reimbursements. Tony.
Hey, Jolene, while we have you, some big Apple news today. The CEO stepping down. What do we know about that?
Big news indeed, Tony. Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, will leave the role after nearly 15 years and become executive chairman of the company. John Turnus, senior vice president of hardware engineering and a 25-year Apple veteran, will take over on September 1st. This comes as Apple is facing growing pressure to succeed in the AI race. Tony.
I know you'll be watching. Jolene, thank you very much. Coming up, the pop singer David appears in court for the first time since his arrest, what we've learned about the charges and the potential punishment. Also, a race car rolls over and over again into a crowd of spectators. Ahead, what went wrong? More than 7 months after investigators found a dismembered body inside his car, the pop singer David was in a Los Angeles court today answering to charges of murder. CBS News chief correspondent Matt Gutman has the latest.
Plea of not guilty has been entered on behalf of Mr. Burke.
Late this afternoon, the platinum-selling singer known as David in court for the first time, hours after this stunning announcement from LA's district attorney.
Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke in connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time.
The charges, the harshest possible, which could bring the death penalty.
First-degree murder with special circumstances. The special circumstances being lying in wait.
Celeste Rivas was a runaway, just 13 when she left home, and prosecutors allege met with David and was in a sexual relationship with him. They say Rivas went to his home on April 23rd last year and disappeared. Burke, now 21, is charged with personally using a deadly and dangerous weapon, a sharp instrument, to commit murder.
You mentioned lying in wait. Do you believe that David was trying to lure Celeste?
He invited her ultimately with the idea that he was going to murder her.
You're saying it was premeditated, that he knew he was going to murder her on that day, and that you have evidence to prove that?
Yes.
Rivas's dismembered and decomposed body was discovered more than 4 months later in the trunk of a Tesla registered to the singer at a Hollywood impound yard. David was arrested late Thursday outside his Hollywood Hills home, and he's been held without bond since.
Your Honor, we believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, nor was he the cause of her death.
Now, in that arraignment a short time ago, Tony, were Celeste Rivas' parents. Now, David did not speak. His attorneys entered that not guilty plea on his behalf, but they made it clear they want to expedite the proceedings so they can see what the DA has, and they say so they can exonerate their client, Tony.
You know, Matt, while we have you, any potential issues with this case?
I mean, I think one of the biggest issues, Tony, is that this is going to be a largely circumstantial case, but the DA says that they have 40 terabytes of evidence, digital evidence that they have gathered, and they'll have to send that to the defense team. Tony.
We'll keep following it. Matt, thank you very much. Up next, at the airport, guide dogs in training. What it takes to graduate. An off-road race car championship in Argentina turned deadly over the weekend when a driver lost control on a turn, hit a bump, and veered into the crowd, rolling over multiple times. One person killed, 2 others injured. And as 3 tigers performed in a Russian circus recently, the ring itself came down, and one of the tigers jumped right out into the crowd, prowling around. A few people screamed. Others tried to shield their children, and at least one just kept on filming as a circus worker walked right up to the big cat. Brave guy. It takes a lot of training to be a guide dog, and here's what some of that training looks like. Over the weekend at Newark Liberty Airport, United welcomed about 100 puppies preparing for their careers helping the visually impaired. They learned to board, to sit, to wait, to relax, and navigate the terminal. Very cute. Up next, the good stuff right here in Las Vegas, the magic of the many illusions in this desert oasis.
This portion of the CBS Evening News is sponsored by Fasenra. Visit us at fasenra.com.
Finally tonight from Las Vegas, the good stuff, what we've learned about the secret of this city. Vegas is sometimes called inauthentic, and sure, where else can you step off a plane and into an ancient Rome, mid-century Paris, and then a quiet Venetian gondola ride all before breakfast? But to come to this miniaturized skyline of New York, for example, and to complain about how fake the Statue of Liberty seems is to totally miss what makes Vegas Vegas. It's reality without the hassles of reality. That fake Statue of Liberty looked so dreamily real to someone at the U.S. Postal Service that they put it on a stamp by mistake. But here's the ultimate proof that the magic of Vegas isn't despite the illusion, it is the illusion. This is Omega Mart, an immersive art experience, they call it, or put it more plainly, a fake grocery store inside a fake city with fake products on the shelves. Are the people confused? They are not. They know why they're here.
I think maybe just to get away from real life for a little bit.
I believe most people can't really handle real. That's the truth. Most can't handle real, so you have to have an escape.
It's the adult Disney World. It's just fun. Like, as soon as you walk, like, you get here, you forget that it's stupid. It's fun.
Reality, you deal with it, we all cover it. There's quite enough of it going around, which is why there will always be Vegas. That's another day in America. I'm Tony DeCopel, reporting from the MGM Grand right here in Las Vegas. We'll be back in New York tomorrow. Good night for now.